we should never fear Germany. We should never fear anyone, especially with the players that we got. We've got. I think it's going to be a bit of a cagey affair. I think Gareth is going to be cautious, and I think it's going to be won and lost in the midfield. I think we've got to be strong in there.
Here at bookmakers.co.uk, it is always a privilege and a pleasure to welcome today's guest. But rather than a conventional greeting, I'm simply going to say it's the 74th minute. Your team are 4-1 up. England supporters in the Olympiastadion in Munich are partying. They cannot believe what they're seeing. You, Emile Heskey, describe to me. You're just about to receive a perfectly weighted ball from Paul Scholes. Marco Reymer is the defender closest to you. Ollie Kahn is the man in the German goal. What happens next?
Take a good touch. Make sure you get a good touch out of your feet to then set you up for a shot. Didn't get the best of touches, but I made sure I kept it low enough and into the corner to slot it past Oliver Kahn.
What an absolute thrill. And welcome, by the way, one of the very few Englishmen to be able to say you've been on a winning team against Germany. That was in a qualifier, but frankly, every English football supporter knows where they were the moment that Emile Heskey rolled that ball past Ollie Kahn. What a thrill. What an absolute joy that must have been, Emile.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the game that I always get stopped for whenever walking all over the world, because there's fans all over the world, especially England fans all over the world. And every England fan stops me and thanks me for that. The thrill they had. And like you're saying, everyone knows exactly where they were when that game was being played.
They do. I was in my best friend's front room, jumping around dementedly. So may I add myself to that list and say Emile Heskey on behalf of the bookmakers.co.uk team. Thank you very much. No problem. When you think about that and you think about that rivalry, how do you sum up that sporting rivalry? And it is a rivalry, and some people will call it more than that. But in your own words, what is it, that friction, that power that exists between England and Germany, that very, very special relationship, that bond, but that competitive streak that will never, ever go away? How do you sum it up?
I think it's more the likes of yourself that make the competitiveness more than the actual players. The players, if you were to ask the players, it would be just another game. But it gets drummed up that much that when you actually go out there, you feel the tension, you feel the power, you feel the will to actually go and win every single time you go out there. And I think for yourself, it's more of a passion. But again, for the players, they want to go out there and win every single game. They don't want to lose one, because again, it means so much to them. And they know what it means so much to the fans. But going into that one, you feel the pressure, you feel the tension, you feel the anguish that you want to go and win that game.
But Emile, the history, the tradition, the memories, the stories we're told of 66, we remembered 96, the anguish of the current manager, Gareth Southgate. We remember the World Cup of 2000. We remember the unhappiness after 2010. There must be, I know you'll say, Mr. Cool as you are, that it's just another game. There must be some added excitement amongst the players, sure.
There's always added excitement. At the end of the day, it's a huge game. When you're looking at Germany, they're going into World Cup finals, to Euros finals, and they're winning them. They're there or thereabouts 9 times out of 10. Of course, there's going to be added pressure and tension and everything, that you want to go out there and be the team that beats the champions, be the team that knocks them off their perch. When we went to Munich, they hadn't lost at home for over 50 plus games. I think it was 55 games. So that added to it as well. We went 1-0 down. That added to it as well. But then to galvanize yourself and go again, knowing that it's such a powerhouse when it comes to football, and that what they've done over the years. Yeah, there is always that.
And of course, they're 3 times Euros winners. And all right, this might not be the greatest German team we've ever seen. We shall see. Maybe they're going to surprise us. Tell me about the current manager, Gareth Southgate, because he's very well liked in English football. And yet, and I know you might say, well, this is the press whipping up excitement and a frenzy, but it's almost like a Hollywood script. 25 years on from the anguish of that missed penalty kick, here he is as manager, leading his troops into battle at Wembley Stadium, the same venue, against the Germans. It almost feels, Emile, like it's written in the stars and that it all comes full circle, and that a victory here would expunge that unfortunate moment from his record.
Yeah, look, I think, well, you can never expunge that, but again, I think it's fantastic that he's got a chance to rewrite something. You know, when you're looking at his experiences during the Euros, etc., and the World Cup, he's had a fantastic career, but everyone remembers that particular point. And now he's got a chance to rewrite that himself with a wonderful crop of players. They're a fantastic bunch of players. Some of the younger ones who he's actually coached at youth level, so he would know them. And now he's bringing them into the forefront where they're actually showcasing that they're fantastic individuals and they can be a fantastic team together. It's not going to be easy against the Germany side who, yes, we all say that, probably not as strong as what we expect for Germany. But when it comes to tournament football, they have the know-how. They know how to just get over the line.
How big an advantage, if any, is it as a professional athlete, certainly for the English side, to have had an additional 24 hours preparation time? England, Czech Republic Tuesday, the Germans in a tough game in bad conditions against Hungary on Wednesday. Is that additional day's prep time vital and a big advantage?
You can take it either way, can't you? I think preparation in the sense of figuring out your formation, figuring out your team, yes. Recovery, probably not as bad because you're going to have enough days anyway to recover. But preparation and figuring out what your team is and working a little bit more on it, yes, you probably will have a little bit of an advantage with having 1 day extra.
And you talk about figuring out, there was this amazing pendulum that was swinging on Wednesday night as we were watching the conclusion of Group F. And literally, as I made it, my amateur processing suggested that England's rival for Tuesday's game changed no less than 8 times. Was it going to be Hungary at one point? Yes, it was. Was it going to be France? What a game that would have been. Was it going to be a resumption of the rivalry with Portugal and Ronaldo? But eventually, Germany. How were you feeling, and who would you have preferred out of that group? Or honestly, do you just say, look, it is what it is, focus with it, get on with it?
I think when you look at it, you would have preferred Hungary, wouldn't you? But again, when you're deep down, you just say, look, it is what it is. Let's get on with it. Let's prepare. Let's focus. But yeah, as a fan, you're just sitting there biting your nails and watching it ebbing and flowing and trying to do your calculations in your head, writing it all down and trying to figure out who we got next. But yeah, I think we've got Germany now. Let's just get our crack on with it. We've got a fantastic manager with a fantastic crop of players. I think Harry Maguire coming back in. There was all doubts over that. He come back in and was solid. Tyrone Mings came in after and again was solid. Saka, man of the match, considering he's such a young player and hadn't had much experience at that level, coming in and putting the man of the match performance in. Yeah, and Raheem Sterling as well. So it's fantastic to see them all doing well.
Well, totally agree with you. And of course, it is a fantastic group of young players, a group who in 3 games at this tournament, we know now, 7 points, no goals conceded. And that's crucial because we as England, if you want to frame it that way, are one of only 2 teams at the tournament not to have conceded yet. And yet, some of the fans, and this is undoubtedly the case, are still having a bit of a moan. They're still not happy. They're saying, come on, Gareth, let the handbrake off. Are you happy with what you've seen? Or now is it the time to say, come on, as a side, give us some more?
I think you've got to be happy with what you see. If you're going into three Euro Cup games and you haven't conceded a goal and you're top in the group, you've got to be doing something right. And I think he's gone with it with at the right caution. Yes, some parts of me are saying release everyone, let's just have a go, let's just overwhelm everyone, but you've got to have a little bit of a balance as well. And I think when you're looking at it as from a coaches and a manager's point of view, I think he's done the right thing in holding the right people back, and another thing in rotating. You go to tournaments and don't get a minute on the pitch at times. I think it's great, especially if you've got that much talent that you can actually trust in them. Why not give them the minutes? And he's done the rotation quite well. Phil Foden sat out the last game, but I'm sure he'll be back in the next one.
We talk about those great young players and the talents he can call upon. And you mentioned in your penultimate answer, I know, Saka, who was a surprise starter against the Czechs, but boy, did he do well. Would you, off the back of that, be actually championing his cause with a view to starting against Germany? Did he do well enough to earn a shirt from the beginning?
Look, and that's the dilemma you have as a coach. If someone comes in and does well, what do you do for your next game? Because again, you've got a philosophy of moving players around and really keeping everyone fit and healthy and ready to go. So he's got a dilemma now that one of his young lads has played out their skin and been the best player on the pitch by far. And now you've got a dilemma of whether you actually play him. I would actually play him. But again, then you're looking at Phil Foden, you're looking at players like that. Jack Grealish, what do you do? Because I thought Jack was fantastic as well. Mm-hmm. Driving with the ball, obviously set up the goal. Always a threat. Always looking for the ball and wanted to take players on. And this is where you start causing a hell of a lot of disturbance for defenders, for midfielders, pulling them out of positions they don't want to be in. So he's got a great dilemma, but it's a tough one as well.
Another name I wanted to inject into the mix, Emile, is that of Jordan Henderson, who the fitter he gets, the better he gets. Fair to say that you could envisage him playing a big role as this really gets serious now and the tournament reaches boiling point.
I'm not sure if his big role is going to be on the pitch, to be honest with you. Straight when it comes to starting, I think his big role would be around the whole group and keeping them going and keeping them focused. I think when you're looking at Rice and you're looking at Phillips, I think they're the two that are main, and then he's a third one kind of coming in later on, maybe even just when tired legs and shoring things up. Maybe I can't see him starting, to be honest.
Same, I suppose, suggestion, but in a different area of the pitch at centre back, the block-like presence, which is Harry Maguire, who seems, just by being there before even a ball is kicked, to spread confidence across those defensive players.
Look, I think he's fantastic. He's got a presence there that, possibly gives everyone a calming nature. Not only that, he's very good at driving out with the ball and then setting things up. I didn't expect the performance like that, to be honest, because again, he's not played any football. He's probably done a few training sessions, but it's totally different. But he was very, very composed on the ball, coming out with the ball and then attract other players so they're coming out of their positions, and then the way he released the ball is really good. So he's very good at that. It's going to be interesting to see whether him or Mings play, or they go with him and Mings and Stone sits out, or they play with the three. So they've got so many different options they can actually go with, which is great.
One option that they couldn't go with, at least the other day, was to see that situation, this debacle, I'm going to call it, Emile, with Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell. What do you make of that? Because the last thing you need, after all the turmoil and the disturbance of the year of 2020 and the delayed Euros, is then to have two key, young, improving and really energetic players having to sit it out from such a, frankly, strange affair. What were your conclusions about that?
The thing with all this, you just want clarity, don't you? You just want to know if this happens, what do you do? How do you go about it? There's testing involved as well, which he's obviously tested positive, and then the others have tested negative, and they tested negative again. So I just don't get it, because again, you go into a change rooms. Do you think Gilmore would have sat there on the corner on his own? No, he would have been around his teammates. He would have been around the manager. He would have been around the physio. He would have been around the kit man. He would have been around the photographer, he would have been around, all the press officers, everyone, he would have been around. So shouldn't everyone have to self-isolate, or is it only when you're seen to be around someone that you have to self-isolate? So it's just, everyone just needs a little bit of clarity on why it is. Because if you're tested and you keep being tested and you're tested again and it keeps showing negative, then why am I not able to do what I want to do?
Of course, clarity is absolutely paramount. Emile Heskey, once again, you've been extremely generous with your time and given us some great and thought-provoking opinions. Give me some clarity about how you see things playing out at Wembley Stadium, 5 o'clock, last 16 at Euro 2020, England, Germany. You was one of the very few Englishmen to score in such an iconic fixture, but to actually hand out a beating to the Germans. Could it be another one? Is it going to be a more cagey affair? Do you fear Germany? How do you see this playing out, Emile?
We should never fear Germany. We should never fear anyone, especially with the players that we've got. I think it's going to be a bit of a cagey affair. I think Gareth is going to be cautious. And I think it's going to be won and lost in the midfield. I think we've got to be strong in there. But I see us winning. 1-0. I see us still keeping that clean sheet.
Absolutely wonderful. Who would be your, and I know this is wide open for all the reasons we've discussed about personnel potentially being shuffled like pieces on a chess set, but 1-0 England at Wembley Stadium would be, well, it would be a shot in the arm for the entire country. People would be absolutely chuffed, thrilled and delighted with that. Goal scorer, 1-0 England at Wembley.
I really want Harry Kane to get off the mark, so I'm going to say Harry Kane. I think he's coming for a lot of criticism. A guy that really digs us out of the quagmire when it's needed at times, and we need to get behind him. He needs the nation to get behind him, so we can spur him on to score that one goal.
Just as you were in an England shirt, Emile Heskey, you are nothing if not consistent, championing the cause of Harry Kane. Let's hope those words are true and come good on Tuesday night. Once again, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.